Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Metaphysical Hour. I'm Julia Cannon, and this is my co-host, Tracie Mahan.
Hi, we've got them coming into the chat room.
Hey.
We got Cindy and Christy in there waiting to warm us all up as we get everybody coming this direction. We just had fun being live on the Dolores Cannon page. We may do that again. Maybe next time we'll even announce it. We're practicing today.
Total practicing. I'm surprised we even accomplished it. Oh, that's how much practicing we were.
Yeah, we're good. We did it. We're happy about these things. We're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate the little wins, right? So, yeah. Woo! So we already said everything we wanted to say. So now what?
Although we were on a marathon run of answering questions, so we can now talk about other things.
I did have a topic I wanted to talk on.
I knew you did.
Yeah. By the way, Zoom, thank you for your filters. Thank you.
I don't know if I look in, I don't know if it's doing anything to me.
Oh, well, I have mine set.
Well, I set it on the other computer, but it was this account, so it should be on this computer, right?
I don't think it works like that.
But it should, because it's in the account.
I don't know. You can check by going through a little video and checking it.
Well,
we want Julia to filter.
Yeah, really.
You have flawless skin like I do.
Let me see. Yeah,
I take that filter off, you're gonna see all the freckles.
Let me think. Where is it? I'm gonna play with it right now. I'm trying to remember what it was easy to see on. Oh yes, here it is. No, it's not checked. It is not, but it was on the other one. Oh, that doesn't make any sense.
10 years younger. 10. I go 10.
Should we go more?
Pretty soon we'll be like, which race is that? Is that the Palladians or something? Okay. So we have in the house North Carolina, Texas. We have Australia. We have Queensland. We have Brisbane. Do I say that right? Brisbane, Australia?
Brisbane.
Right?
Brisbane.
Okay. And yes, we have all of Australia in the house. Victoria, Australia. You guys are so awesome in Australia. We're gonna do the big visit there, right?
Hey, they're awesome everywhere, but Australia, everywhere. That's just
they really cool. Show up on these metaphysical hours. You guys are just you're here. I think it's the timing, and we hit them at the right time of the day. Hello, Colorado, California, Ohio. Yes, you guys are awesome in the States. There, I don't want to play favorites.
Hey, if you come to see us, you're awesome.
You're awesome.
We really appreciate you.
And for those of you who made it to the other live that we did, and you're back here in this room, thank you for your kudos over here as well. And if you are listening but you can't figure out how to comment, click on the app. Click on the page and it'll open up and you'll see the comments, because I shared this to other pages. If you're commenting under those other pages, we can't see you. You got to actually open this up into the BBS radio and then it'll let you comment and we'll see it. So if you're trying to comment and you're like, she never tells or says what I'm typing, that's why, because I can't see it. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube later, we're not live, but please come watch us live on Facebook Friday nights, BBS Radio TV on Facebook, 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Central.
Yes.
Right. And 8 o'clock Eastern. Something didn't sound right to me. But
it is. And every time you say that we're not live, it's like I always think, remember back in the, it's maybe before your time, but I don't think it is. Is it live or is it Memorex?
Oh, yes.
I always want to say, yeah, we're not live. YouTube. No, but we're Memorex. We are Memorex.
I love that because we're so clear. Okay. Yeah. National Dog Day.
Really?
So, happy dogs. Mine are all sleeping around the room here. Happy National Dog Day. Yeah. Thanks, Lenny.
Happy Rocket Day.
Oh my God, I would have loved it if Rocket would have ran in and like smooched you. Would have been awesome.
He doesn't do that anymore. He's really calmed down. He's maturing. He's being very good.
Oh, they do that.
Mellowing out. Yeah, mellow is the word.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he was. You know that picture that was circulating, and it was and I got it. I think Tiffany shared it with me shortly after I got rocked. Within a few months, and I'm going crazy. And it's like, why is this? What is this dog? And it was like, and it was showing cute little puppy, and then a few months later, they're Tyrannosaurus Rex. And just and it's like that's what it is. It's just so crazy. And then I don't remember if there was a third picture. There might have been, but it's like there is hope. I mean, because they do. I mean, everybody kept telling me it's gonna be okay. He's gonna calm down. He did.
He's there. Yay.
Oh boy, there was that span of time. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No.
That's so fun. Yeah. I remember we got a rat. Well, when we got the rat terriers, there was this commercial with the Jack Russell, which is like almost the same breed, right? And the lady's standing there, and you see this dog jump up and jump up and jump up. She looks over and does something like, they tell me in about 7 years, I'm going to really enjoy this dog. As it's like, pew, pew, pew. There's something to that effect. So it's like, oh my God, is that the truth or what?
In 7 years,
they calm down in a couple of years, and then you cuddle them. Pays off eventually. That reminds me of the Marley and Me movie, where they're trying to tame the puppy, the yellow lab. No.
I remember the name, and I've probably seen it, but I'm not. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna recall all our dog movies.
We're gonna jump now, Lenny, off of National Dog Day, or we're gonna try and reminisce about movies. Okay, so I got a challenge for the audience. I want you to tell me your story. And like a very short paragraph, because I got to read these, right? So tell me your story. Why? Why is Tracie having you tell the story?
So we can pick it apart and no.
It is. That's why. We're going to pick it apart. And here's why. This is the theme that I've had this week. Is there's so much information in the way you tell your story.
Absolutely.
So this isn't really for me, and I'm not really going to broadcast it on a live podcast. But you want to look at the words you're using to tell your story.
Absolutely.
So let's pick on Julia.
Hey, well, and see, that's really good, because I'm going to shift here for a minute.
She's in avoidance. Time out.
But no, it's really good, because because hopefully many times we don't hear what we're saying, and especially when we talk about ourselves and our story. And so the goal is to start hearing it, and so that we can change it, shift it, whatever, so that we can make adjustments. So that's why. But yeah, my story.
How's your day?
Oh, my day. Yeah, it could be this way. It could be this way. But
Which is she gonna choose?
Yeah, because I mean, we could go from the point of about 4:30, and I could have that version, which is I was looking into how to do the live feed on Facebook, so I just want to double check, make sure I had everything in a row, so it'd be nice and smooth. And I get on there, and I'm like, I don't see anything that tells me what to do. So I started doing researching videos. Okay, how do I do this? And they're like, oh, simple. Just go here, click on these buttons, and all good. Okay, great. Yes, this is how it's going to be. I go in there, and I'm going here. Those buttons aren't there. They're dots and everything. I'm like, okay. So I watched another video.
They're the more buttons.
A newer video. More, the more buttons, the more dots. And so I thought, well, those videos, that was 2 years old. So maybe that's old information, because
Zoom
is always being upgraded. So I went in, I found a newer video. Okay, watch it. Click the more dots. And I'm like, I don't have any more dots. and And so I get frustrated, and I got Jenny on, and we're going through stuff. We're trying, and we're experimenting, and then we're trying other ways, and get all frustrated. It's like, you know what? Maybe we just don't need to do this today. It was like, and then I'm telling Tracie, you know what? I don't think we need to do this. I'm getting frustrated. Not, it wasn't bad, but it was like, I think the message is we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
But when I left Jenny, I said it's possible that Tracie will be able to do it because she has access to that page. It's possible. So then you picked up on that, and we ran with it. Now,
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I had stuff going on in there, but we kept going. Now, another way of framing that would have been, hey, I learned something new. We started into this. We're trying it, and it was really cool. We learned something new about how we can get on. We got on the show. We did it. Oh my gosh, major accomplishment.
Yeah. It was cool. We did. We learned something. Now, are
Exactly.
we going to aim that for the next time? That's the true question.
That's a good question. Yes, maybe.
I love it. So in that story, there you were very aware of your frustrations and what you and you were able to shift out of that, and we did the show, or we went live. I don't even know if it was a show. It was kind of more like a
an experiment. It was a live experiment.
It was an experiment. Thank you for everyone who participated in the experiment over on the Dolores Cannon page. But yeah, so I noticed for even myself. So I have a session that I do, the Ascension Activation session that I do online. But I also made it available to do in person. And every time somebody signs up for that session in person, I'm like, oh, because I'm realizing, okay, so if that one's going to be in person, then I've got to go to the office, and then I got to get back here for the next session in time. And it becomes this fiasco, right? And with good intent, I don't mind doing the in-person. It's just, it adds a lot of tension to my day to get back and forth, because with a QHHT session, that's an all-day thing. It's like I take the day off because I don't know 4, 5, 6 hours. What is it going to be? So I just, that's the only thing that can be in that day. But the other session, I can do more things. So here's the pattern that I was getting into. Oh, somebody signed up for an in-person session. Okay, no, I can make that work. Okay, I can get that. I'll move this around. I can do it this way. I think that's enough time to get home and get set up for this next one. Okay. And then throughout the week, I'd be like, okay, what's tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow's that in-person session. And I found myself doing that. Not because I didn't want to do the in-person, just because of the extra work it took to do it.
Yeah. And you have to think about it. Yeah.
And I have to think about that. And I have to highlight my calendar, because I'm used to them being on video. So there was one time where I almost didn't go because I thought it was on a video, and then I realized it was in person.
You're sitting there, where are they?
God, I gotta get in the car. I gotta go. So it adds a little stress to my life. So there's an easy answer to that. Take off the in-person Ascension sessions, right?
There you go. Yeah.
It took me a long time to get that figured out, right? So I finally did that. So today was my last in-person session for the Ascension Activation sessions, which was really nice. Beautiful session. And I got back in time to do everything else we needed to do today. And so it worked out great. But my story was, oh, I have all this extra work to do when I do those in-person sessions. So guess what would happen?
Yeah.
Every time one of those would show up, I would have all this extra stuff to do. And it's like, oh my gosh, every time it's stressful. So what would happen? Every time it's stressful. And so finally I just figured out, you know what stops that? Stop doing the in-person ones. You just stop.
Right. That, or just shift the whole.
Or shift the whole.
Yeah. It's going to be yay!
But I get,
and then so cool how those work. They just flow, blah, blah. But that, a lot of mindful talking you have to do.
Yeah, there is a lot of mindful talking. And the other part to that is, with a QHHT session, you got 2 choices of time frames. You can put that in there. With the other session, you can put that in anywhere in the day, because it's a shorter session.
Right.
And so if they put it in the middle of the day, then I can't do an appointment before them or after them because I have to get in the car and go, and all this extra time is needed. So it just needed to go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love you guys. I do want to see you in person, but it was a big aha moment that it was just time to make my life a little bit easier in that regard and take that out.
And you will see them in person when they sign up for a QHHT session with you.
Absolutely. Yes. And they do. So so that was my thing in my story. It was like, oh, I keep creating this scenario. And so then I sat down and I thought, well, what do I want to have happen? And I got to thinking, you know, there's no way on my calendar to make it so that they have to do it either this time or this time, either first in the morning or the last appointment in the evening. There's no way to do that. So it just needed to go. And I had to come to that conclusion that, you know, I don't get to hug them in person. I just get to do it in my mind hug you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it worked out okay. And it was kind of, the energy shifted for me in that I had that aha moment. And then I was like, what else stresses me out that I need to change, that I need to look at? So it got me kind of looking at that. And it's like, well, what story am I telling myself around those things? And also listening to other people's stories. There's a lot of this energy. I had a client a while back where they called me up, or, you know, we got on our call, and this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Okay, so what part do you think you might be able to move or shift? What part is your part that you play? No, you don't get it. This is happening, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And so, you know, then I say the next thing. No, you don't get, and they must have told me the same thing. And
do they get louder because you're not hearing?
I'm not hearing them. Yeah. And so it was getting more annoyed, and the energy was getting very staticky. And it was interesting that they weren't willing to listen to what they kept doing. And it's like, you understand that you keep stating it that way, it's going to keep happening that way.
Exactly.
And we couldn't, that energy wouldn't move. So
and what's interesting, and what's interesting about that, because it does take a little while at first to realize that, and that's what you're kind of doing. It's like you're just doing this. It's like you're beating your head against the wall, because it's like, I don't get what you're saying. This is what's happening. Fix it. This is what's happening. And it's like, as long as you keep doing that, you're going to have it keep happening. I mean, it's like, finally, I don't know if it's enough head beating. I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden it just goes, and you get it. Oh, as long as I'm saying this, I'm creating this. If I say something different, I create something different.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I invite you guys to pay attention to the energy, how you feel when you're telling that story. How do you feel? Because that's where I was. I was like, I'm feeling so frustrated when I'm looking at that. And I take it, my physical responses when I would look at those schedules, when those appointments would come in, and I'd be, oh, that's one of those in-person ones. And then all of a sudden I went right into this, okay, I got to figure out how I'm going to do this and work that in the day. And can I put other appointments around that? And is that going to work out for me? You know, and I went into a whole routine. Was I aware I was in this routine? No, I wasn't. I didn't until I stepped back from it and was like, something's got to change. And then it came to light that, oh, here I am creating this because I kept saying every time someone schedules one of those, it becomes this thing.
Exactly.
And so it did.
Every single time.
Universe.
Without fail.
Without fail. I'm pretty good at manifesting, you guys.
Something I love what you said, that feeling, you know, I call that dread feeling. That's what it's like, oh man. And I had, there was a time, I think, I'm not sure if I talked about it here or on another show, but back when I was in nursing and I left, did I talk about this before? I left intensive care, went into home health, and I was like, and I've been doing that and everything, but I was in a point where I needed some extra money. So I thought I'll pick up a couple of shifts back in intensive care. And I was burned out of intensive care when I left. I mean, and home health was just wonderful. It was so gorgeous because it was a completely different way of doing things. But I thought, well, this would be a way. I'll pick up some extra shifts there and I'll do it. And I went back, and it was this feeling. It was that same thing. It was like, oh my gosh. And I had promised myself when I left before, because was in that, it was total burnout. And I said, I don't want to go to work. It's that dread feeling. So I said, if I ever get that feeling again, I know not to do it. That's my sign. Don't go that road. So, and so it was like I had to listen to that and go, no, I can't come back. I thought I could, but I can't.
Yeah, it's so true. I just had, by the way, I'm going to toot my own horn. 6 years ago this week,
I saw that. Yay!
Quit my day job and started doing my soul path. And
yeah, you know what's cool is I remember when we did a show together before that, and we were talking about it. You were like, how did you leave? How did you do that? How did you get over here? And I had my story, but it wasn't, I don't know, it was much longer. Maybe, you left and not too long. I hadn't seen you in a while. Then next time I'm talking to you, you're like, guess what? I left and I'm full time over here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still had to unwind my story. So first of all, it took a huge leap of faith to do that. But life has this way of it keeps grinding at you until you finally will do the thing that you're supposed to do, the psychic 2x4, as you call it. And that kept happening at my work, and it was getting more and more miserable and intolerable, and more in my face and more in my face. And so I was like, I can't do it. Yeah. And my sister asked me the question, I was like, this is happening, that's happening, this is happening, that's happening, victim, it's happening to me, everything's attacking me, nothing's working. And my sister says, what would it take for you to quit?
And what a great question.
What would it take?
Because it flipped it all around.
It did. And it made me stop grinding and go, oh.
Solution. Well, go into solution mode.
I would need this, this, and this. I had 3 things that I needed. And she says, so how do you create that? I don't know. So I put it out there to the universe. One of them was to not have a car payment. So what happens? My parents go to buy a new car, and they had a really nice car, but they needed to get a scooter in and out, and that car wasn't compatible. So they needed a van, and they were giving them like chump trade in for it, like dirt nothing trade in. And I said, well, I'll give you this much for it. And they're like, oh, okay. So I sold the car that I had a payment on, got rid of the payment. And that gave me the cash to give them for that car, which was a really nice car. So then I had a car with no payment.
Yeah.
I was like,
there's one down.
Yeah. And then I wanted a buffer, and if I quit my job, I need a buffer. That's too stressful to just be living paycheck to paycheck. And again, those of you who know me, I was am a single mom. I have 3 small kids at home during this time. Everybody's still at home. And so, that's a big deal to go, okay, I'm going to quit the steady income.
Definitely a leap of faith.
But figured out how to get that reserve so that it could be there. And if I needed it, if I came up short, I would have a reserve, and it showed up. And then of course you helped me with getting myself to the next level of QHHT. And that was the life changer. That was the game changer for me. And that's when it all started to finally take off. And so thank you everyone who was helpful in that. I see some of my friends in the audience that were a big part of that. So thank you to everyone. I'm on my anniversary of 6 years. So yay! And to everyone else that is thinking about those things, follow that heart. It will take you. What would it take for you to have that?
Exactly. How could I do it? What would it take to do it? Because that shifts everything. As long as you're in that victim of, everything you're doing there, that perpetuates that story. That perpetuates that situation. But as soon as you go into the other, see, now you're shift. That's how you shift timelines. That's how you shift these things.
Well, and Julia and I both tell you things because we've been there, we've done it.
Yes.
And we are evidence that it works,
Absolutely.
Yeah, 10 years ago, you probably couldn't have told me I would be doing what I'm doing today. I would have been
No.
like, oh, how am I going to get there? Please let that happen. And here
And my, you know, like, because ours was on a show and you were like, I think that was like a little, when we did that, and you were like, gosh, how, I didn't know what, it was almost like it was a new thought to you that you could actually be living in this life. You know, it's like, because you were fully full time into this other life that you did not like. And it was
oh
like,
yeah.
I have to do this and I can only do this on the side. And
I bare my soul with this stuff because I believe that people can learn from my mistakes, right?
absolutely.
And I was so fully dipped in the victimhood, and I wasn't going to take myself out of victimhood. It finally dawned on me why. And it took questions like what you guys were asking me to get there, that I finally realized that I was remaining in poverty and in this place because I was
all that
the
stuff.
lack mentality, all of it, and the hardships, the woe's me, poor single mom story that I was telling, all of it, because I somewhere in my mentality that was punishing the ex for putting me in that situation. You know, there's the words again.
Yeah.
Nobody put me in anything. I was, you know, I had a wounded ego. My pride was wounded, all of it, you know, and I was acting based on those emotions. And look at what it took. I had to grow out of that. I had to acknowledge that I was doing that. I had to look at the part I was playing.
Yeah, you have to get brutally honest with yourself. And you really have to, that's called self-work. When we say you have to do your own work before you can do anything out there, that's what we're talking about. I've seen posts like that. It's like, you know, we all want to help the world. We want to help people. We want to, but you got to help yourself first. You've got to look at your stuff. Because you're going to keep attracting that kind of stuff to you as long as you got that going on. So I'll just tell you that one right there. So if you have a lot of people around you with a whole lot of junk going on, guess what? That's another way to look at yourself. But yeah, you've got to do your own work, and it's not always pretty to really get that
not pretty at all. It's not pretty at all.
It's not.
It sucks.
But it's very
the reason
very essential. It's uber essential.
Yeah. But I mean, my life is, I can look back at it now and say it was all worth it, you know.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Pulling out of that mentality and getting out of that place, and you know, doing things that I've always wanted to do now, and not just work wise, but I'm playing more. I'm taking care of myself better. Went and got a pedicure the other day. You guys want to see? But you know, just going and doing things for myself and knowing that that's okay, because again, I was the victim. So I'd get whatever everybody else needed, but then my clothes got ratty, my hair got ratty, my hair, you know, and it's like I wasn't taking care of me,
right?
Because that was part of my story, that I was the victim. And so I got to look like one. So not anymore, folks. Nope. Now I know I can have it all.
So. Absolutely. And see, and that was kind of like mine. I mean, I'm not going to look at the victim part of it, but I know I had all that stuff going on too. But as far as like seeing that being waved over there like a carrot, it's like it was over there, and it wasn't something I really thought about. But I was helping mom one time. She was on a trip. I think I talked about this before too. She was on a trip, and I found out that they had there was no one covering the phones at the office. And they're like, well, just leave them, and then we get them when we get back. I'm like, no, that's not. How about we, you know, I can help, you know, just have them come to me and I can help and stuff. And so I did. And it was just like, I talked to these people. I mean, at that time I was managing in home health, and all I'm hearing about is people's aches and pains and how they're, you know, it's nursing, you know, it's all this, there are chronic issues going on, and people complaining about different could that have been training maybe?
And what happened with all of that?
Exactly. But that's why I went to the other side of it. See that now I'm on the other side of it. But I remember that I'd get these calls from people calling for mom, you know, and her stuff. And I'm like, and they're all upbeat and just bright lights, and they're talking metaphysics. And I'm just like, man, I could just talk to you forever. I wish I could do this on a more regular basis. I would love to be doing these kind of phone calls. Well, see how that was a seed that was planted?
Oh,
And then
totally.
it
Love it.
never did it ever occur to me at that time that I would, yeah, I let this go. This was my life, nursing. This is where I'm going to be the rest of my life. Are you kidding me? It's like, oh, but this one sure is more appealing. I like how these people talk. They're very positive. They're fun. They're
Yeah,
lights.
absolutely. Yeah. And so let's see what we got here. And thank you to everyone that's saying such nice things about my story, because I've told it enough times now that I'm not the first time I told that story, that was so hard.
Mhm.
It was
Well,
just
and I remember you telling one time that you caught yourself. It's like you were it was you just had the story that you were always telling about yourself. And
yeah.
then one time somebody asked, like, what do you do? And it was, I guess it was just the right juncture. And you started telling it and you caught yourself like, oh my gosh, that's why this is always happening, because this is what I'm always saying. And so,
Yep.
so it's like it takes certain number of pounds, I guess, certain number of hits. So finally goes, what am I doing?
It did. Yeah. A friend of mine introduced me to one of her friends. And of course she says, so tell me about you. Oh, okay. I got this down. Got this.
Go back into that. Yeah, rewind the tape.
Yeah. I could put this story on autopilot. And yeah, it was when I was telling her who the whole da 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 da, single mom, 3 kids, 3 jobs, doing this, doing that, trying to make ends meet. And I was like, holy cow, that's exactly the story that I'm living. I need to change that.
Yeah.
It was so profound. And what, yeah, I can remember where I was sitting. Do you guys ever have that where it's so surreal that you remember the weather, you remember where you're sitting, you remember where you're, all the little details, and
Yeah. The bird that was on the branch on the
yeah, it's like time froze in that moment. And I was like, oh Lord, I'm creating this reality and I'm miserable in it. So how is it serving me? And that was when I got to it's serving me because it's somewhere in my mind. I think if I stay in this soup that I've created, that somehow that's making the ex suffer because, in my mind, he put me in this situation.
Aren't we funny? I'm miserable and that'll make him suffer.
Yeah. And he had no clue I was in any of it.
Mm-mm.
Nothing. But it was such a great turnaround because that was the point where I was like, I can change this. And then, I started changing the story. And before I knew it, I was in a house and, again, no payment on my car, had a nice car, all the things, they were falling into place. And eventually 6 years ago, quit my job, quit the day job. So got out of it. But there was still a lot of story for Tracie to tell in there, and keep catching herself, keep catching her.
Absolutely. Yeah, you had a choice. You could have kept going the other way.
Yeah. So
you changed it. That's easy. It's not easy, but it is easy. I mean, it takes
you have
being
to
mindful.
and you have to be mindful not to fall back into it, because it is a pattern, or it's a comfort zone, right?
Absolutely.
What is that song where it's like addicted to a certain kind of sadness or something like that? I think is a line in the song. And it's like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense, because we get into this familiar feeling. And rather we felt it as a kid growing up, or parents and siblings and
and that's why you want to look at those things, is where's that coming from? Because it might be something you heard from parents, or it's something that you were exposed to constantly as a child or whatever, maybe not even constantly, but enough to where it made an impression. This is how I'm supposed to live. This is how I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Just is the way it is.
It is the way it is. But I did pick up on the storyline of my history of my family, because my dad is now a retired farmer, amazing man, worked so hard his entire life. And that's what I saw. He worked his little pins off. And in that, the story was, I worked so hard just to pay the bills.
Yeah.
There's never anything extra. And so what did I do? I created that lifestyle too.
Yeah.
So I had to go look at it.
Yeah, and I'm doing it so good. I'm doing 3 jobs. But
Yes.
most anybody else has got
I'm raising
I got
kids.
3.
Yeah. And I'm raising these kids and I'm taking
Mhm.
care of pets and doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Superwoman. Yeah.
Yeah. I could have painted that on my chest,
Mhm.
wear it proud. I wore it like a badge of honor. It was funny, you know, I did. I wore it like a badge of honor, thinking that, you know, look at me, I'm overcoming these things, but was I really? No, I wasn't.
No, it was, that was I mean, it's funny when you look back at it. And at the time, you know, and anybody on the outside that can see it, they might be laughing. But anyway, I'm just like, she'll get it eventually. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, no, you're like, none of this makes any sense. But remember, that's the experience that you're having to get you to where you are now.
Yeah.
And,
And you know, it was so fun because, like I said, I've had a whole week of stories and getting to hear these stories.
right.
And you know, a beautiful friend of mine's on a trip right now with some family, and she had called me and she's like, all this stuff is happening and this chaos is happening and this is that and that and that and this. I said, isn't this amazing? She's like, what? The universe is just showing you so many things right now. And I started to dive into whatever, you know, how we get shown things and when we're in those conversations, and it's like, I'm seeing this so differently than you are right now. This is happening and this is showing you how much you've grown and how evolved that you are becoming, because you're looking at all of this so much different than maybe you would have a year ago or over here, you know. And by the time we were done, she was like, yeah, this is going somewhere great. And it really is, you know, and it's going to be an amazing outcome to the story when we get there. But you know, right now it's in the chaos, but it's breaking down some walls for some people so that some great things can happen. And she's like, oh, I guess it is. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. You can tell some of your stories now. I'll shut
I
up.
told mine. No.
I know, I feel like we do this bounce in, but it's
Well,
so
and that's the thing though, when you move, when you get out of it, see, that's where I have to really think about what was going on, because I have let that go. I'm a different person. I'm
yeah.
completely, you know, so it's like I have to, and sometimes people have done that to me. They want me to tell things that happened. And it's like, in order to do that, I have to get right back into the same vibration, everything that was going on. And it is so uncomfortable because I'm not that person anymore. And so to get in that is really, it's almost yucky. You know, it's like, I don't want to be there, but they want every detail. And I'm like, so I guess I could have said, you know, I've moved beyond that. I don't, you know, I probably, and I'm not sure exactly how that would have been said, but they were hungry for all that drama detail.
Absolutely. Because yeah, that's a familiar energy.
Yeah.
Have to understand that if we take judgment off of everything, and it's just familiar, and that's an experience, and yeah, that's familiar to them, so they're drawn to it.
Yeah.
We have a really good question here, because we made a comment in our live earlier that deserves some more clarity, I'm sure of it. So
yeah, we were flying through those so fast we weren't really able to give good answers.
There was like almost 1,400 comments in that just that 40 minutes we were on there. So yeah, I was overwhelmed. Okay, so the question is, why is it not advisable to do QHHT on a family member? This work is resonating and I have family who can't wait to take it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, do family, do them, because they're wonderful. That's what we want you to do, is do them. But don't go in with expectations of, I'm going to help them with all these issues and I'm going to heal them and blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Just go in with, it's practice. I'm practicing this, and do it exactly as you would do with anybody else that you don't know. Do a full-on interview, do everything full on. So it's wonderful practice for you. I'm just saying, don't expect anything. Don't expect to have this miraculous session, because there's a lot of times they're so close to you. Like Tracie was saying, there's, well, you know, somebody didn't like it when I told him, you know, he could not get his wife to go under. And I said, well, she's too close, you're too close, there's trust issues there. And he didn't like me saying, oh no, we trust each other, we trust. It's like, there's always going to be some level of trust with, even if it's a person you trust the most, there's still something that you might be holding back a little bit. And so that is going to create an issue when, of releasing and letting go. So this is why a stranger, they'll be out because they will let go with you more than your spouse will, or somebody very close to you will. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying, yes, do it. We want you to do it with your family and friends and everything. Just don't base your whole practice on what happens there, on the experience that you get there, because you may not have the best outcome. That's all. You may have a fantastic outcome, like Mom did with me. You might have wonderful outcomes, but don't expect it, because
sometimes family members don't want to feel vulnerable with other family.
Good point. Yeah.
And so, if it's a spouse that you're probably already vulnerable with each other. But if, let's say, you're doing your brother or a nephew, or, and some outside family member may not want you to know that much about them, because they don't want you to view them differently.
Well, exactly, because you have roles. We all have roles that we play within our spheres, and it's like, oh, I don't want to be, this is all many times unconscious, that I don't want them to see me any other way. They see me as strong. And if I show that I have had things happen, oh my gosh, they might not look at me the same way.
Yeah. Or maybe they're worried they're going to say something in that altered state that's going to reveal something precious. I don't know, like, maybe I go under with somebody that's a friend of mine, and I'm like, oh yeah, she can't stand it when she's I don't know, bicycling with you because you're so much faster than she is and she feels inadequate. Maybe I don't want people to know that. I don't know. So whatever it is, it's their insecurities. They're not going to want to reveal them to you because, that's their private.
Right. So they'll hold back a little bit, and that can affect how well they go under. So, I mean, it could be something that doesn't make sense to you or me, but it makes sense to them. I mean, they're doing it. So just throw all expectations out the window and just have fun with it. Look at it as practice. I'm getting through this one more time, this technique, just to work on my own. I'm working on me. And if they go under and they have they have things happen, fantastic. Absolutely. That is wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go back to the storytelling, which is great. We're segueing back full circle, coming back. What kind of words do you change when you tell your new story? That was a tricky one with my story, because I was living it. So it's like fake it till you make it.
One of the main things you change is you take it out of present tense and you put it into past tense. You might still say some of those things are happening, but that used to happen. When I used to do this, or when this would, stuff like that, you put it in the past. See, then that's indicating it's not happening anymore. That makes a definite line. And now I do something different. So you definitely say, well, when I used to do that, or something, put it in the past. That severs it.
Yeah.
That's a huge way
of doing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very nice. I know for me, I think I would say things like, if somebody asked me about, tell me your story or whatever, I didn't go into, I'm a single mom of 3 kids working 3 jobs, and say, I'm a mom of 3 great kids. I have a job in real estate, and I also do this. It wasn't a burden anymore. It was like, I do these things. I get to do these things.
Yeah.
And I'm growing my practice. I'm,
right.
I get to do, I do a podcast. I do these things. So it wasn't coming across anymore as this is a lot of work and this is a lot of tumultuous lifestyle. It was more of, I do these things.
Well, if you notice also, as you're saying that, see, the energy is different. Mm-hmm. And I'm this and I'm this and then, well, I do this and I do this. It's like, they're completely different energies.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so you change the frequency of the words.
Right.
So, I mean, you could be like, well, hell, or you could be like, oh, hell. You know, they're two different frequencies.
Absolutely.
So, anyways, yeah, so you play with it a little bit until you get yourself in a higher vibration with what you're saying. So,
You know what might be helpful? Because, like, say, we bounce off of each other. We have other people to do. But what if you were to record your story? Just put it on a recording, play it back to yourself, and see what you hear yourself saying. Or say it out loud, because that's sometimes what we have to do. We have to hear it. We don't hear it when it's just playing up here. We have to actually hear it and like I said, be mindful, but hear it with the intent of really listening to what you're saying.
mm-hmm. And I've done that to you guys before. Like, I know Chris is in the audience. I've called her before. I've called you before. I'm like, I just need to tell my story so I can hear how I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And I'll do that. And then you guys help me catch the words.
Mm-hmm.
So get your story friend.
Absolutely.
Get your word police going.
Mm-hmm. I call it sometimes the accountability partner.
Yeah. It's
I
so
like story friend. That's less. They're gonna catch me.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're gonna be more mindful when you tell your story, but you're still gonna have your slip-ups, right? You're gonna get into the this is happening and that's happening, and they said this and I said that, and da. And then okay.
I've done some. I mean, I know at the office, Summer's caught it. She's like, "Oh, you just caught yourself," because I'll be saying something and I'm catching it as I'm saying it, so I reword it right then. That's as you get more mindful. You go, that's the goal, is to catch yourself as you do it, or catch it before you even do it. That's the ultimate goal, so that it comes out exactly as you would like it.
Yeah. So the really fun ones, you guys, are when we know we're in our story and we're still boo-hooing about it. Yeah. And Julia and I did this not too long ago. I was moving through some stuff and I called her up, or you called me up or something. We ended up on the phone together. It's like, okay, I'm going to tell this story because, and by the time I was done with the story, I went into it like, why am I feeling this way? Why is this happening? Why is X, Y, and Z treating me like this?
Right.
And by the end of the story, it's like, well, they didn't treat me like that. That didn't actually happen. That was my interpretation based on this filter that I had going. And by the end of our conversation, absolutely nothing that I preconceived that whole interaction to be actually happened.
Right.
None of it did.
And that's the amazing realization, is that was just all in my head.
Yeah, I created that story. There was actions that happened, things that happened, and then the story I created around those things that happened. And when we broke it down, in truth, none of the things that I interpreted it as actually happened. It was just all of my feelings coming to the surface from some old wounds. And
it was just stuff that needed to be looked at. And that was a way of looking at them.
Exactly. And so that whole thing showed up so that it would surface. I could go look at it. And then once that was clear, that behavior quit happening. They didn't have to mirror it to me anymore unknowingly. The people that were my mirrors had no clue they were my mirrors.
They never do. Mirrors never have a clue that they're a mirror.
Yeah. No, they're just like, what did I do? It's like, wait a minute. And you're going over it in your head going, what did I do? Did I say something? Did I do something? And you didn't. You have no idea what's in somebody else's subconscious closet.
Right. No, you were just willing on that other level. You are willing to play that part that they need played so that they can work their stuff out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Very nice. So good. You guys are so awesome. There's so many comments in here that we're going to have to go back and read. But I think this conversation is more important than jumping back and forth with this, because right now everybody's looking at stuff, and we're going into the Mercury retrograde in September, which we're probably already in that shadow. We all know how that works. And September is going to be a lot of stuff surfacing for us, and it's been happening. Things are coming up. We're getting triggered. Go look at it. Go play in that. Yeah, we're gonna get triggered.
Well, there's something. you know, there was a time I was like here with Mercury retro. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, get prepared, bar the doors, you know, all that stuff. But stuff started happening about like, I don't know, about a year ago. And it was like, you know what? It's all fine. I mean, it's no different. It's no different day. It's no different than anything else that goes on. Why is that one thing? You know, it might be challenging, but when I changed my attitude about it, things changed about it. So there
Yes.
again, it's the thoughts create reality.
And
Um,
everything you need
I don't have the issues that others have during Mercury retrograde. But I think it's because I don't pay it any attention. And sometimes people have to say, if I do have some stuff going on, well, it is a Mercury retrograde. It's like, see, that's an easy thing to blame it on.
Yeah.
Like,
I
okay. Well,
don't think we've been out of Mercury in retrograde for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
It's just we're in a time where we want to go do this New Earth thing, right? We have a lot of people in the audience. When's New Earth? And we covered that in the other live. But as we keep getting closer and closer to our vibrational match to that, you know, we have to clear this stuff in order to hit that frequency and really fully experience it.
Right.
And so I just think we're just always having what's residue, what's the residue? Okay, you cleared that. How many times have you said, I thought I already cleared that. I thought I already worked on that. I thought I already did that.
You worked on it, may not be gone though, because it comes back in cycles. It's like there's layers to it. And it's like, I thought that was done.
Yeah.
Really not completely.
So don't worry if it shows up again. You're beautifully working through it, and it's just the universe showing you, okay, there's still a little bit left. This is where you're at with it. You're doing great. Here's where you're at with it. And look, you're going to handle it different this time.
Exactly. And sometimes it's exactly what it is. So you can see how you are different this time. So it's just for that. We did get our 3-minute warning. Yes.
So tell people about QHHT, how to find it, how to be a practitioner.
Yeah, go to qhhtofficial.com. And if you want to, if you're a client looking for a session and looking for a practitioner, go to find a practitioner page and look in your area or however far you're willing to travel. See who resonates with you. You know, look at their profiles, talk to them, somehow make contact. Look at their beautiful little faces on their profiles, you know, see who resonates with you. Do your due diligence and have that. That's what we recommend to do there. If you are somebody that would love to help people and you just see an outpouring, this is something I want to do. I have the passion to help people. QHHT is such a wonderful way to do that because you are helping people to find out who they truly are, who they really are, and get to the bottom of all their core issues. I mean, it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
And then I have Soul Speak, the language of your body, understanding what your body is trying to tell you from your higher self. I have the book at ozarkmt.com. You can go and I also have an online course at juliacannon.com. And Tracie, what do you have going
on? What do I have going on? That's a big question. So I'm a QHHT practitioner, level 3. I'm in the Portland, Oregon, about 30 minutes out of Portland. So if you want to have a QHHT session, that's where I'm at. Those are in person only. So just so you know, we get a lot of people asking about the online sessions. We don't have them. I do online sessions with other things. So go to my website, traciemahan.com. You can find that, or you can find me at qhhtofficial.com. I do have a little 1-hour workshop coming up Sunday. So if you are listening to this in time, would like to participate, go to my website. You'll find the information. And that's it. That's what I got coming up, and that's what we're up to.
Fantastic. Yay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for being with us.
Yeah, you guys are very chatty. I'm going to have to go read those now. Okay.
Bye. Bye.